Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And there is an old English saying talking about the smiling assassin. And what we're talking about here is Hippo Eyes, Cyril Ramaphosa. He is destroying the white economy. And he's using the lockdown to do it. What's happening right now with the banning of alcohol and all that sort of stuff, this is planned. This has got nothing to do with stopping COVID-19. This is planned. And I'll explain to you what the plan's all about. It's quite simple. Back in May last year, and I've raised this a few times now it's coming to fruition. Back in May last year, Ramaphosa, in one of his many mindless addresses to the nation, made a statement that caught my attention straight away. And he said that this lockdown will ensure the future of black economic transformation. What he is talking about there is industries like tourism, people who've got B&Bs, people who've got hotels, people who've got restaurants where you sell liquor. Largely, in fact overwhelmingly, white owners are going to be forced into bankruptcy or near bankruptcy, and then the well-privileged, the black-privileged, the ANC cadres will be hovering in the wings to just come in and clean up for pennies in the pound or cents in the rand. And this is exactly what is happening. And I'll explain to you how the scam works. President Cyril Ramaphosa said during the virtual launch that the fund is a groundbreaking venture. The fund being a tourism equity fund worth over 1.2 billion rand, launched by the government on Tuesday. It was created by the Department of Tourism in partnership with the Small Enterprise Finance Agency, which falls under the Department of Small Business Development. The fund will provide a combination of debt financing and grant funding to facilitate equity acquisition as well as new project development in the tourism sector by black entrepreneurs. Operative word, black. If you are white, colored, or Indian, go to the end of the queue. You got no chance. This is theft. This is using taxpayers' money to steal assets from largely white people in South Africa, which are in the tourism industry. This is blatant theft, and yet no one's doing anything about it. It's quite extraordinary. But don't let that get in the way of another porky pie from Cyril Ramaphosa. Okay, so President Cyril Ramaphosa said during the virtual launch that the fund is a groundbreaking venture that will speed up transformation in one of the most crucial sectors of the South African economy, especially during a time when the industry is challenged by the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. Ramaphosa said, "A recovery will happen. Our task is not to simply return to business as usual, but to accelerate the pace of achieving our transformation goals." Read black transformation. Stealing these businesses which are in dire trouble because of the lockdown from the largely white business owners and basically handing it over to his mates in the ANC. This 1.2 billion rand is not going to go to John and Glovo in Soweto. No. This is just another nail in the coffin for South Africa's economy. It's quite extraordinary. Ramaphosa went on to say, "We want to ensure this fund helps black businesses to substantially benefit from the tourism industry. not just to be roped in by fronting or just being small-scale suppliers. He encouraged qualifying businesses not to wait, but to ensure they apply for funding as soon as possible. And they will be lining up, believe me. And all those little B&Bs around the country, which were white-owned, which are struggling, they've probably got their businesses on the market right now. These black cadres, the black privileged, with their funding paid for by the largely white taxpayers, will be coming to those businesses and saying, yeah, I'll buy you out, but at my price. You watch. This is a complete and utter scandal. Anyway, Minister of Tourism, Mamaloko Kubai Ngabani, said the launch of the fund was a critical milestone in the tourism sector, saying the tourism sector in South Africa is largely private sector, owned and driven, and its contribution to the South African economy has grown tremendously since the 1994 democratic breakthrough. The private sector has done an excellent job in developing and investing in the sector to turn our natural endowments into economic assets for the country. However, much remains to be done to stimulate new investments and to fully exploit the potential that is still unexplored in our country's tourism sector. In her view, the fund is necessary because not only will it help to crowd in private sector investment in the rejuvenation of the supply side of the tourism market, but it will also help to transform the sector in terms of ownership and make the sector more inclusive. Now you'll notice she doesn't use black only in that statement, but you know exactly where she's going. This is extraordinary. You couldn't get away with this in any other country in the world. It is envisaged that the fund will seek to fund commercially viable and sustainable majority black-owned tourism enterprises with a minimum of 51% black ownership, including enterprises in rural areas and townships, to help create jobs, alleviation of poverty, fight inequality, and promote growth of black-controlled tourism enterprises. So, for those little B&Bs in places like Kokstad, or like Philippolis, or Victoria West, which are right on the bones of their arse, they will have to go around begging for a black shareholder to come in, take control of their business to make sure that it actually keeps going. With this 1.2 billion rand that has been allocated by this ANC government only for black entrepreneurs. And guess who's going to be right at the top of the list? Yeah, the black privileged. It will also de-risk the funding provided to tourism enterprises through patient capital that will ease the debt repayment ability of black-controlled enterprises and facilitate the participation of targeted groups such as women and youth in the priority tourism sector as defined by the BBBEE sector codes. Now, at the very start of this video, I talked about Ramaphosa's speech back in May last year, where he talked about black economic transformation and how the lockdown was going to actually fast-track that. You're now seeing exactly what he was talking about. And I actually spoke about this being the plan way back then in May last year. And now it's happening. Lee Ann Back, a director at the Specialist Tourism Unit of international consulting firm BDO, said such a fund is long overdue in the tourism industry. Now, Lee Ann, Ms. Back, what would you say if you were the owner of a small B&B which has been totally ravished by this lockdown by the ANC, and you knew your only option now was to bring in someone you didn't want there in the first place, a 51% plus black owner, So you become like a minority shareholder, becomes his business, and he's getting funding to actually do that. But I guess being a little petty bureaucrat, probably an ANC supporter, in fact I'll put money on it, you don't care, do you? Back said, government is looking to make a meaningful difference in ownership in the tourism industry. Black businesses have battled to enter the industry. Big businesses are all transformed, and there are a lot of little micro businesses, but the problem is for medium-sized businesses. She went on to say, this fund will go a long way to help those businesses off the ground. I also like the market access and other support which forms part of the funding process. I know a lot of white businesses are feeling threatened, but government is not saying white businesses cannot operate. Well, wacky do! Government is not saying that white businesses cannot operate. Well, thank you very much. This is absolutely ridiculous. She went on to say, we just have to work all together to make it a truly transformed sector. And the more transformed tourism becomes, the more government will get involved. Well, you know what government does to everything it touches? It F's it up. So, write off tourism in South Africa. You can do it right now. That industry is F'd. Because as soon as the ANC put their hands on something, you know where it's going. Sad but true. I have so many friends in the tourism industry in South Africa, and they must be absolutely furious about this development. You know, South Africa is not a rainbow nation. It's fast becoming a pariah in the world today because of the way it treats the minority groups. And I'm not just talking about the white people, I'm talking about the Indians, the coloreds, and any other group. If you're not black, and let's remember the Chinese are honorary blacks in South Africa. So the Chinese can go in and they can get this grant and they can go and buy into hotels and buy into B&Bs and buy into whatever. But the people who've done the hard yards building these businesses are basically now being given the middle finger by Ramaphosa and this corrupt gangster ANC government. Please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, please stay safe. Bye for now.